Before we begin, I'm thrilled to share that my new book, No More Bosses, The Journey to Sustainable Self-Employment, which is published by Penguin, is on Amazon bestseller list. In the book, I get real about overcoming my own fear and self-doubts to pursue my entrepreneurial dreams. I share the framework I use, like fear setting, regret minimization approach, that help me get comfortable with the discomfort of change. I also open up about how I discover my unique strength and turn them into a viable business. Building my personal brand, developing an effective marketing strategy, assembling a killer support network. It's all in there. It's been a constant learning process to optimize my productivity and find that elusive balance. But trust me, it's been one heck of a journey. Now, whether you're already self-employed or just toying with the idea, I'm confident this book is going to provide you with the roadmap full of real-world guidance and inspiration. You can get a copy of No More Bosses at Amazon, Kinokuniya, or major bookstore. And now, back to the show. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Adrian Tan Show. Now, today we are going to be talking about something that have been boggling me for the longest time. You know, every time I have conversation with design people, HR people, consultants, and they talk about design thinking, I always have to pretend to know what design thinking is. And every time after the session, I will go and Google, what the hell is design thinking? And of course, every time I get a different answer. If you were to ask me today, articulate what is design thinking, I truly cannot. Which is why I am so looking forward to today's conversation, and hopefully we can put to rest exactly what is design thinking. And we have two interesting guests to help decipher this mystery for me, and that would be Alfred Tan and Ken Kwan. They are the founding partners of the Curious People, a consultancy focused on design thinking and capability development in Singapore. They specialize in helping organizations enhance business growth, customer-centric initiatives, and talent motivation through tailored training and coaching. Both are certified by the Rodman School of Management in Business Design Thinking, making them influential figures in management consultancy within various sectors such as education, healthcare, and finance. With that, guys, thank you for coming onto the show.
Thank you, Adrian.
Hello,
Thank you for
thank
inviting
you.
us.
So let's start by giving me this Gundu definition. What is design thinking?
Oh, okay. You're too humble, and you're not going to. For you to even be curious, that means you already have a very high intelligence already. So design thinking basically is all about being people centered. It's a very human, people centered way of solving problems or creating new products or new services. And it's always the starting point is always from the user. So this word user is a very big word. It can represent your wife, it can represent your kids, it can represent your principal, whoever it is that you are designing this thing for, or whoever it is you are solving this thing for. Yeah, so that means, of course, it covers customers, employees, and stuff like that. So that's starting point. So we must be very clear about this starting point. And these people, this user, they must be allowed to always share what truly matters to them. That is the basis of being people-centric. Yes. Then from there on, whatever ideas you come up with based on this finding will then become meaningful and workable. So this is a whole gist about design thinking.
Okay. I would imagine it would apply across any touch points that a user, which is a loaded word for consumer, whatever that may come across in their course of life. So it could be a process, it could be a product. Of course, software is quite common for us to see user experience and stuff like that. So before we go into some of the examples to help our audience solidify all this concept, I'd like to understand the personal stories of you guys. Well, what actually inspired you all to focus on design thinking? And I understand specifically for SME, no less.
For me, it started long ago in my very first job when I was selected from uni in the States to join the Ritz-Carlton, opening their very first Ritz-Carlton in New York. And I was very, of course, shocked. And the whole the why Ritz-Carlton? Because the Ritz-Carlton themselves basically are very into being people-centric, being customer-centric. And that itself is already demonstrating the essence of design thinking. And from my tenure with them, it really started to expose me to design thinking. Back then, this term design thinking wasn't even coined. So I didn't even know that I was actually embracing it. And only until 10 plus years later, we're back in Singapore and then joining the Ritz here and also helping to open Capella in Singapore. Then did I start to realize, oh, all these things that I've been doing is design thinking. And why all these big brands like the Ritz and the Capella, they are so good in what they do in terms of service and the user experience is because of design thinking. They always start with understanding the guests first, before even pushing down things upon them. So that was it. And then later on, I was actually approached by Singapore Polytechnic to join their tourism team at the School of Business to be a lecturer, full-time lecturer. So that was another calling. The first calling which I rejected, or not rejected, but I did not really pursue was from Temasek Polytechnic. So if this calling comes again, I guess it must be a sign. So I went on to join them, and from there we were selected to join a team to be exposed and to be trained in design thinking for business. Now this little exercise exposed us to SMEs a lot. So that's when I start to realize, oh, this is actually very beneficial to SMEs. However, design thinking for business or even design thinking itself is very highbrow. It's very very unmore, like from the West. So yeah, so that was the challenge, but it's a very good challenge. I felt that SME should really get exposed to it. So that's where I bumped into Ken. So Ken is Chinese educated from Hua Chong. So he understands the China workforce quite well. So then we came together and try to make sense of it, to make it more palatable, to a white, quite a blue collar Asian workforce. And so that's how we brought this into the SME space for me at least.
So Ken, is it true your China
Okay.
inspired background actually help in some way?
Well, always like to joke about that when he workshop or something like that. Honestly, I'm not in a Chinese school. We're bilingual, so just that because Mandarin is our first language. So it's true because I think it's always quite good and versatile when we interact and engage with the workforce in Singapore, both in English and Chinese Mandarin. So that makes us very interesting.
Yeah.
I feel.
Actually,
Yeah.
I think something maybe for the English educated, they may not be aware. There are still many Chinese Tauke. And in fact, many of them,
Yes.
they cannot read an English document to save their life. Of course, those are the older generation, but still there's plenty of them. And a very successful one. You don't see them on LinkedIn because LinkedIn is ultimately still an angmo platform. The term that Alfred mentioned earlier on.
Yes.
Now, before I move on, I still require you guys to help me break it down further. So, you've given me the concept of design thinking about user centricity. And I always like to imagine things, in the best use case, in the worst use case, so that it helped me to better grapple the concept. So, am I right to say for a thing like, I'm not sure how familiar you may be, ERP 2.0, that one is bad design thinking.
Well, yes and no. The no part is because right now I do not understand what was their R&D process, right? Who did they involve in that R&D process? Okay, so let's say they did involve actual users. Okay, Then I'm also very surprised then, who are these actual users, that would spark an idea to shift the IU from the driver's side to the passenger side. So you got me. A proper design. I won't say. I don't normally use the
Okay.
word good or bad. I just say a proper design thinking the process that you use in this R&D. You must always first determine the user. So in this case, the user obviously is the
Yes.
driver, right? If you go by the real true steps of good design thinking, then such things should not be happening, right? Unless they did not use design thinking. Okay, they use survey, questionnaire, survey, and then this questionnaire survey don't know where to go. It might land up with a person who don't drive, perhaps tired. Things like that. So, and I'm glad that you bring this up about bad design thinking, good design thinking, because back in 2018, when SUTD had its ministerial forum, our then Prime Minister, Lee Hsien Loong, was the keynote speaker there, and he specifically mentioned these three words: good design thinking. And he repeated this term many times throughout his half an hour speech. And from what I understand is he himself is very, very well versed, and he knows that there is such a thing as bad design thinking. Hence, he mentioned good design thinking, and the only way to be good is to be very, very clear and about your methods and processes with the user. Imagine.
So outside of course, what we mentioned that is more on the negative aspect, could you share a success story where design thinking significantly impacted an SME? Ideally, something that, most of our listeners, that something more mainstream lah, so it will resonate with most of our listeners.
Okay, good. I got one true life story, which is very, very mainstream. It will be your kaya toast and your kopi that
Kaya
everyone's
toast
so
and kopi
familiar.
also can design
This is
thinking. That's
our
interesting.
of course, and you say mainstream, right? This is lagi mainstream. Okay, so this is a company that I think many of us would be familiar with. It's called Wang Cafe, or some may also know them as Heavenly Wang. Now, Wang Cafe is actually a homegrown brand, family owned for many years until back in 2012, around that period. The owners give it up for sale, and NTUC Food Fed acquired it so that they may be represented in this space to sort of police the pricing, to make sure that prices are affordable to your common man. That is NTUC's mandate. So they acquired it, all 36 chain throughout Singapore. And because it was previously family run and whatever it is, as we all know, with family business, things may not be as well set up as we like as a corporation, right? So they engage us as their consultant on a 18 months long journey, using the service excellence grant, to do to overhaul deep dive, and then also coming up with some overhauls or new methods. Now, what we did was that we saw it as a golden opportunity where we could infuse design thinking, and also not just only infuse design thinking, but really our wish came true to be able to modify it and that is usable, comprehensible, and palatable to a mainly blue-collar workforce and Asian workforce. Where cafe, we have aunties and uncles in their 60s or things like that. So it was very good. And we even have legacy workforce, meaning employees who have been there for many years. This kind of workforce, very hard for them to change, very hard for them to embrace something new, right? So we even have to take care of that to make sure that design thinking is something that they can embrace, and not tell you, don't come and tell me what to do, things like that. Yeah. So that was beautiful. We applied the design thinking methodology um, ourselves. That time there was no digital tool, there was no AI, so we really had to be very manual, relying on WhatsApp, relying on Google Form, and to really reach out to their potential to their customer base, and we really covered all 36 outlets, city based outlets, the town ones, the heartland ones, day and night, weekday, weekend. So really, it gave us such a comprehensive picture of what their consumer pattern is like. That is so powerful. Nothing is used. We don't use any quantitative questionnaire survey. No, it is our empathy study that we use. We had no questions for the customers. We told them just tell us your good and bad dining experience at a Wang Cafe. So that was it, and they can say anything they wish under the stars, and this is so rich. Before administering this exercise, we do have, of course, some committee members who are not familiar and who are only familiar with quantitative questionnaire survey. So naturally, they will ask, "Oh, you're not going to ask them for cleanliness, ah? You're going to ask them to tell us about our lighting, ah? You know, what if they don't say how? Then guess what? Well, if we administer this survey to all your outlets, or any customer that walks in, and if none of them talks about the writing, that means there's nothing wrong and it's not important to them. All right? Yes. We should let them say what they want to say. Then from there, oh, these are the things that are truly important, not the liking, it's not the whatever.
So what's the most
that is
significant
in
thing
fact
that
what design thinking is.
has evolved after design thinking has been applied? I'm very curious to understand more about the actual application and the use case from a before after kind of comparison.
Okay. So before, their CEO back then, Mr. Perry Ong, the one hot button to him was consistency. So there wasn't consistency throughout. Okay, in terms of even the food aspect and even the service aspect. So after applying design thinking, we are able to deep dive and review all the things that truly matters to the customer. And then we had 6 rounds of workshop that we went down to the ground and we connected with every single employees, and we show them on our slides, And once we show them what the customer actually say from their own mouth, we will surprise ourselves that it is so motivating. The employees, we realize, listen more to the customer than to what management has to push down onto them in terms of SOP. So yeah, so they were like so motivated, after seeing wow all these things and customers say, and they really then say, okay, let's come up with a new SOP. So that was when we were then able to get the employees to share from from their point of view, what's the best way to do this? What's the best way to do that? For example, if the customer said, "Oh, we keep having to wait too long for your mee siam, whatever," okay, then from there on, sometimes some customers do say some ideas unknowingly. Those are the best nuggets of gold, Then in the workshop session with the employees, we get them to task, okay, since you are the one who's going to do the work, all right, you are going to be handling it. Why don't you tell us? You'll tell us how it should be done. Rather than we, management, push a set of SOP down your throat. So we gathered everyone, 136 employees throughout over 6 sessions. They gathered. At the end of these 6 sessions, we compiled. And then from there, that's how we came up with an SOP that the customer would like, that the employees would love doing, and that naturally the management wouldn't like. So that was the before and after. And consistency was there. So there was we had a mystery spot check after that, and they were all very happy. That was one thing. And there was after then of course the employee morale went up, and they were able to, from all these insights, another special miracle happened. We started to realize that they are beginning to see something different. Then from there, we were like, oh, there is this new age, not new age, a new generation of consumers coming on board. And they seem to have different needs. And we are seeing their
Mm.
preference evolve, you know. Then from there, the CEO was very smart. He said, "Hey, I think there's a chance here for us to create an offshoot brand." That's where Heavenly Wang came in. So if you go to a Heavenly Wang cafe in like Ngee City, Takashimaya basement, you realize it's very different, already, right? It's more modern, it's more comfy, the decor is so different. Now, all these ideas of how to do up this new brand came from the customer's empathy study. Everything from the words of the customer. So that was the reason why when they redesigned or not redesigned, they created this new shop cafe space. Everything just felt bright. People just came and the comfort is just there. Yeah, it was so natural. Yes, yeah. So that's one of the things that I think was most memorable, right, to share.
I think in the F&B space especially. No, I did not watch the entire movie, but I think I saw the trailer of it's a story about how McDonald was created when Ray
Yes, yes,
Kroc, if I'm not wrong, the
yes,
founder. And I think in the trailer
yes,
he
yes.
was trying to explain to a
Mm,
journalist or someone about why this thing is placed here, why that thing is placed there. So everything is very efficient and also very ergonomic. So step one, step two, step three, pump, pump,
mm,
pump. So you don't have to, or step one and then step two, go the other corner, step three, come back again for all this kind of inefficiency. Would stuff like that also fall under design thinking, I would imagine? Because you mentioned employees are also consulted. But I would also think that for most companies, especially when they want to lean into efficiency, I haven't really seen employees being consulted. I mean, you look at Facebook, right? Year of efficiency, we're gonna fire 10% people. They never ask, right?
Yeah. So I think that part that you mentioned, right? Yeah, is the part of design thinking. It will fall mainly in the second phase, we call it. I think the first phase is empathy, really, really understanding the different stakeholders. It could be customers, it could be employees, what their pain points, their needs, and so forth. The second part that you saw in that movie, right? We call that prototyping.
Mm,
So that is the part whereby you really try to come up with ideas, test your ideas, and of course, all these are from the basis of satisfying the needs and pain points of, let's say, your
mm,
customers. What kind of burgers do they want? How fast do they want the
mm,
burger, and so forth. And that will, based on that as the basis, right? Then they will start
mm,
designing, maybe like what you say, the layout and so forth.
mm,
When they're designing all that, right, it's not enough to be on paper. It's always good to try and error, prototyping, and so forth,
mm,
so forth lah. And of course, we have that something called the test fast and fail fast, fail early,
mm,
which is also a principle for design thinking, whereby you want to really try out your solution really
mm,
fast. Prototype, we call it quick prototyping lah. Really try it fast so that you're not so attached to your idea and so
mm.
forth, and see if there's any failures or anything, so you fail fast as well. So that is part of course, that's part of the design thinking methodology as
I
well,
see.
especially the co-creating part.
Mm.
Yeah.
The feel fast aspect
So you're
sounds
perfectly right.
very interesting and it makes a lot of sense to me. But I would also imagine many SME owners may struggle with that, right? Failing anything to
No.
begin with, doesn't make sense to me. I would imagine that could be one of the blocker or misconception that they may have about design thinking, which is a good segue for my next question. What are some of the common misconception that SME may have about design thinking?
oh,
Okay. Also, maybe I can just say a little bit for my personal experience. Because of the word design thinking, so often our local SME, when they see the word design, they will associate with art, aesthetics, and so forth. They always think that design thinking focuses on drawing, coloring,
Mm,
coming out with ideas, creativity mostly. So that is the misconception lah. That design thinking is the main part of design thinking. However, in the true sense of design thinking, as what Alfred has mentioned earlier on, that design thinking, the major part is about the empathy, the beginning part. about really deep diving, really understanding your customers or your employees, what exactly is their needs and their pain points. So that is very, very important. And we often think that this is the part that a lot of SME also no, they sort of rush through, or they may not have a full understanding, because the solutioning is something that we have been taught since our early age. Whoever come with a solution, we seem to get a lot of praises. So there's a bit of rush rather than understanding the context, understanding your stakeholders. Everyone is rushing to give ideas, to give a lot of solutions and so forth. And then everybody will also cheer you on. Wow, you're so clever. You come with a solution so fast. So our culture is, really, really, especially in a meeting, we try to compete with each other, with our own vested interest to show that I'm the cleverest. I'll give you a solution without really understanding. So this is one part we feel like is a bit of a misconception, and it's a mindset that we are trying to get SME to correct. Yeah,
Okay.
that's one of the misconceptions.
Correct.
Right. And before I move on, something just came to my mind, because design thinking, I would imagine it to be quite a relatively modern term lah. Although probably maybe 6-10 years ago, I probably have heard of it then. But I also remember this other term that my cousin-in-law used to perform, and this was years back. This was probably, I don't know, 1997. I remember this was before my army lah. Business process re-engineering. That's actually her official title. How different would business process re-engineering, I'm not even sure if it's still a valid function, be compared to design thinking? Because I do see some overlap here.
The part I feel that there is it is an involvement of design thinking in this business process re-engineering would be on the aspect of a business activity system, or we call it a business activity map. So in design thinking, we are supposed to be able to churn out a map that will be able to identify your nodes or strategic nodes of your business operations or business model, so to speak. And from these strategic nodes, then you will have sort of like a mind map further out of other supporting nodes, right? So basically, that leads on to your business process re-engineering, to be able to see very clearly how you can re-engineer your business. Another way, or another option would be the actual flow, the process of we talk about workflows, right? Now, so in a linear way. Now, design thinking is also able to be used in doing your workflow redesign, or making it more better, or creating one, because each time when you develop a new product, you need a new workflow, right? A workflow for the operations team, for the logistics team, and wow, so many things. So design thinking will then be able to come down, and it is actually using the empathy tool, the first phase, to really deep dive to find out from every single stakeholder what are their needs, what are their challenges, every step of the way. Then from there, then we can create all these workflows. We can call it a journey map. Yeah. And then when we put that, when we stack them parallel, then from there we can see really, the top part is the customer journey map, the customer's experience journey. Then the next one will be who. Then from there you can see very clearly, oh my God, if the customer at this point say arrival, okay, has some issues, recurring issues all the time. We get lots of complaints. From there, you can trigger down, you can see anything wrong. That is the beauty. Yes, of design.
So I add in a bit on that. Maybe I feel like for we also use design thinking to do, let's say what you said, business process redesigning. So again, the starting point is about understanding what are our customer needs and their pain points. That's the starting point. And then when, of course, we'll design different ideas and solutions to satisfy these customer needs and pain points, right? So in order to deliver these solutions, that leads on to the different business processes to be redesigned, to be aligned. So all the business processes will be redesigned in accordance to satisfying, of course, the customer needs. So I think design thinking makes it very aligned in that sense that whatever your business processes is to be designed has an end impact on the customer. And we are also trying to be more efficient here because sometimes some of the business processes do not produce value to our customer, so called. So all these business processes has to be simplified or eliminated lah, in that sense. So I feel like it's about creating value for our customers. So business processes are redesigned in such a way whereby they will create actual value for the customers from the customer's perspective, which is very important also. Because many a times we always assume, oh, this will create value for the customer. But we, based on experience, interestingly, many things that we assume that will create value for our customer, it may not be the case. It may not be the case. So many a times we are wasting a lot of resources doing things that we are thinking that wow, it's so good, it's so great. We are creating a lot of customer experience, but literally, like what Alfred has mentioned, many things the customer don't even see it. There are many times we create big posters while we draw, we spend so much money. Then because we got ego, right? We create so nicely, we put in so much effort, must be damn good lah. Customers sure damn like it. Put in the store, customers surely will see it. Wow, through empathy study, guess what? The customer don't even look at it. They don't even pay attention. They don't even know that you have posted there. For all you know. So there are many cases like that. We realize that, wow, SME now realize that, very important to see from the perspective of the customer before doing anything, before investing in something, before creating something. So that's also quite interesting with you.
Just like what my army sergeant always said, don't assume. I think also
Don't
from
assume.
the employee perspective as well, because ultimately they are the executioner of whatever new process you may have come up with. So I really like what was mentioned earlier on, because it could easily be just, oh, let me check with one cafe customer. Oh, they say turn left. Okay, we all turn left. But then for your users, your employees, they will say, actually turn left, not exactly right. It should be, somewhere. So there has to be certain changes. And as we continue this conversation, I recall an event that I attended before, and it was DPS Innovation Officer on the stage. So interesting example, which I think probably would also, he did not mention design thinking per se, but I think it's a snapshot of what design thinking is about. So basically told me, oh, there was this particular outlet, I think about 5 ATM machine. But everyone always cram at the first 3 ATM machine. And then the other 2 ATM machine always empty. So they are having this load balancing issue. They were very curious, what is going on? Then they went to the ground. They go and find out, go and check with the people queuing up. Also check with the people at the booth, etc. Then they realize it is a signposting issue. People think that ATM 4 and 5 cannot perform the feature of ATM 1 to 3. So everyone just crammed to 1 to 3. Yeah. So it's not a technical problem. It's not any bandwidth issue. So what they did was they changed the signposting. Immediately overnight, the loading become balanced. Again, these are stuff that, if you were to take a very traditional lens, you'll be thinking, wow, that 2-lane possess got ghost why nobody queue there or whatever reason. But if you were to just try to get inputs from people, why is that the case? And again, they never go to the qualitative aspect, right? Please rank from 1 to 10 what you think of ATM 1, ATM 2. That will not help them to solve the problem again. Yeah. But I
Correct.
just observation will do. I also want to then help SME who may be listening out there to understand, at what stage would they require design thinking? At what stage of their business do they hit a brick wall, or do they hit some situation like one cafe I'm looking to be acquired? Then they look for design thinkers. Do I call you guys design thinkers?
Yeah, then you can.
You can.
Actually, there is no ideal stage, because if let's say this SME has never done or heard or applied design thinking, then they should do it right now. Actually, any time, any moment in the course of your business operations are moments that design thinking should take place. For example, let's say I am a colleague of Ken. I bump into him and say, hey, the other day, the customer called, and I got this problem, I think, maybe, is the delivery guy's fault. Okay, let's say I say things like that. Then Ken, who has been sort of understood a little bit of design thinking, he should already say, "Oh, let's not point fingers first. Okay, let's go and deep dive. Let's go and find out. Okay, what is the what are the challenges that the delivery guy is facing, or are there any special need that he actually need but we did not provide? That's why he cannot perform his job. Something like that. You see, even this kind of interaction, just by Ken saying that, is already embracing design thinking at its essence. Yes. Because you know why? A lot of people thought that design thinking is an ideation tool for you to be creative. Actually, in actual fact, based on my this analogy, this scenario that I just painted to you, guess what? It's not about creativity. It's about deep diving, finding out what people need, and the minute they tell you what they need, that is the idea in essence. You don't have to be creative about it. You don't have to be a Picasso or whatever. No. Yeah. You see? So for those people who are always telling people, oh, I don't draw, so I cannot be creative. Please, no. You don't need to. You just need to have empathy. Empathy, all humans will have.
So, okay, so my reply to that is this: so long as the business involve people, then you should start design thinking immediately, because design thinking is all about people. So, I mean, which business does not involve people? People are like, your customers are people, right? Your employees are people. So, I think that's a very important starting point. Unless your business, you say, oh, it doesn't involve any people at all, then of course, you don't need design thinking. So, with people, right? Once it's with people, what's the most important thing? Empathy, as what Alfred has mentioned. Because people is about emotions, right? Honestly speaking, when we make any decision, you think about that. We are not making decision based on rationality. We are making decision based on emotions. Many a times, if you think that you want to rationalize to a point whereby you make that decision, then there will be no end to it. You will not be able to make any decision. If you want to marry somebody, you think you're using your rational mind or you're using your emotional mind. You think about that. Right? Definitely, because you kept weighing the pros and cons and everything. You can wait until 80 years old. You also cannot finalize what will be the optimal decision to make. Right? So, of course, it's the moments of impulse that say, oh, this is the one. Let's do it. Not even say, find a partner, buying a bag myself. It's an emotional decision. So, researchers have always said that we make decision emotionally. After that, then we rationalize it. So that is always the case lah. So in that sense you realize that it's very, very important, so long as the business involve people, both sides, right? Customers, and of course your business also make sure that you must have employees. Then I think that every company should start design thinking because it would be actually a very systematic way of understanding people. And very important, I think, is the culture. It really improves the culture, like what Alfred has mentioned, internally as well, right? You have empathy for your colleagues, right? Understanding their needs and their challenges, and that allows you to redesign the processes properly. And again, everything is about people. Even you got the best, well-designed processes, if people do not adopt it, they don't agree, what can you do? Still the same.
Yeah.
Because we are so intelligent, you cannot force us to do anything. You can give us the instruction, the SOP. I will have different ways about going about it because we are human beings and we don't like it or we don't feel good about it. So once you have this design thinking, you realize that, like Alfred has mentioned, the change management will also be possible because the involvement, the engagement, have a say in terms of creating the process, redesigning the process. That is a part of change management. That is part about getting the employees feel like they are part of it. Feel like they contributed to it, and of course there will be attachment to the whole new procedure and so forth lah. So I feel like design thinking should be really adopted lah to different levels or different extent for every company.
At the end of the day, everyone just like to be involved, right? Even maybe at lip service,
Yes.
they may say, ah, yeah, not my problem. But I think deep down, everyone wants to play the part, wants to have some form of contribution, because that is how you get a
Yeah.
bit more buy-in within the organization. And I feel this discussion about design thinking really helped me to understand the significant impact it could have. It's just two
Mm.
words, design thinking, but you can imagine the kind of impact it has on your business, your processes. Let's talk about processes, your efficiency, your people, because you are going to them, you are getting their buy-in. It will also improve morale, it will improve engagement. When they have ideas, they may automatically come to you because you're encouraging a different kind of behavior altogether. There are just so many good things that come along. And I guess which is why in many different facets of life, we always try to encourage getting feedback as much as possible. And this form of
Yes.
feedback in this instance is to help you maybe look at some, maybe identify some blind spots, how to rectify certain situations, so on and so forth. But there's really no limit to the kind of application that one can have. And I would imagine, like you said, as long as the business has people, they should look at design thinking, which basically is every business out there lah. Even ChatGPT owner also need to hire people. So they don't have a choice. As long as people is involved, you want to, for lack of a better word, you want to milk it lah. Because if you
Mm.
if you hire people and you tell them what to do only, I think that's the most stupidest thing out there. You want to hire them not
Yes.
just for their hands, you want to hire them for their brain. Yeah, but to engage their brain, you need to start with their heart. I feel this is
Yes.
perhaps in my own explanation. If in the future anyone were to ask me about design thinking, that would be my personal explanation of
Yes.
what design thinking is all about. And with that, thank you so much for coming onto the show today. Before we let you guys go, so for companies out there who may be triggered emotionally, I hope, to find out more about you
Yes.
guys and what you do, where can they go to?
Okay, they can go to our website, of course, just www, the Curious People Solutions.com.sg. And once you're there, of course, you have all the resources available there. But what's most important, most interesting for us to share is throughout this podcast, we have shared that the most complex difficult part to embrace or do design thinking is the empathy aspect. The first part, finding out, deep diving, right? So, and that one requires some special training. Now, we have developed our own digital tool powered with AI to be able to do that deep diving for SMEs. So SMEs can easily use it and apply it on a big sample size, just like how you would do it for a quantitative survey. Hence, that data is so rich, and it allows us to then come up with reports and analysis of the gaps and stuff like that. Something that is very customized and to a bite size that SMEs can use.
Great. All this will be entered into the show notes. So for people who is interested to check out Curious People, please go to their website and find out more. Again, thank you so much for coming onto the show, Alfred and Ken. Really lovely speaking with you. And I hope more companies will be motivated to at least learn more about design thinking and to find out how it would really have a very significant impact, not just on their business, but ultimately their people, the outcome, their customers as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.